What's up, guys? Ivan Carranza here, and welcome to Bass Tone Tuesday. Today, we're gonna talk about that bass sound that you heard during the intro. And on last week's video, I talked about my experience recording with Dr. Crapula in the studio. 2 weeks ago, we recorded their 11th album. And on that session, there was a song which was sort of like, rock funky. And the sound that you just heard was a preset that I used to record that. So it's a preset on the Quad Cortex, you can see here. And I want to walk you through it and show you why I picked the things that I picked and what was my thought process behind it. Now, to make things a bit more interesting, you're going to hear the mix again, and I'm going to show you also the bass soloed, and also together with the drums, and also the bass and the guitars. So when I think about kind of like a rock funk song, I think about, like Red Hot Chili Peppers, like Rage Against the Machine sort of thing. And for most of the tracks on the album, I used my Dingwall Super P, but that was not going to get me that sizzly, grindy kind of sound that I think about when I think about, old school Flea, for example, or, old school Rage Against the Machine. So that's why I decided to use my G&L Jazz Bass, or JB. This is a Fullerton Deluxe model, great bass. Put some new strings on it to get a lot of that sizzle, that sparkle on the top end. And when I think about those old school rock funk songs, I immediately think about, Gallien-Krueger. So if you take a look at this, the signal chain is fairly simple. I have an amp, a cabinet, and there's a distortion and a noise gate. There's a second distortion which I put on the patch just in case people would want to, check it out at home. But the main one that I used was this one. So what do we have here? I have, like I said, a Gallien-Krueger 800. I think it's called the RB 800, the original version. And if you take a look at the EQ, it's pretty much flat, other than the bass control, which is pulled back a little bit. I'm cutting some bass because the amp itself is fairly boomy, especially when you combine it with the 8x10 Ampeg SVT cabinet. And let me bypass everything first so that you hear the sound clean coming out of the Quad Cortex. Is gonna be a lot quieter than when I turn on the amp, so just for reference. Right? It's a passive jazz bass sounds, both volumes full up, tone control also full up. Doesn't sound bad, but it's nothing really impressive about it. And it's not gonna cut or it's not gonna punch the same way in the mix. So, like I said, I thought about using the Gallien-Krueger because as soon as you turn that on, really, really aggressive, right? And really bitey, a lot of top end, a lot of bass, so fairly scooped sound. And like I said, I'm also cutting some bass right there. Now, when we were sound checking for the song, I knew I had to play definitely aggressively, so to get some of that fret clank in there, but to fill up as well some space in the mix, we decided to toggle in a little bit of drive. Which you can barely tell is there. You can barely hear it. You notice it if I play up here. But that little bit of overdrive makes the bass sit better in the mix, and it compresses it a little bit. It tames also those really, nasty top end spikes that happen when you dig in like that. So if I go back and forth, the cool thing about this is that, as you can see, there's not much going on in the preset to get a great sound. Like I said, the amp is flat, cutting bass, straight cabinet is pretty much stock from how the cabinet block comes up. The only thing I changed was that I grabbed the Neumann U47 instead of the ribbon mic that it usually starts up with. Cut a little bit of volume on the Neumann and boosted a little bit on the SM57 just to give it a bit more clarity and definition to the sound. And that was it, actually. So this is really, or the simplicity of the preset reflects my philosophy of you gotta get it right at the source and then pick the tools to achieve the sound that you want. Because if I had gone, for example, with a bass that had dead strings, or I was to go with a neck picker, sounds really different than if I right? So you gotta know the basic elements that you need to come up with the sound that you want, and then add all the spice, I would say, the amp, the cabinets, effects, and so on. So it's kind of like cooking, I would say. You gotta have your basic ingredients, and then everything on top, it adds a little bit of, the spice, the seasoning that just enhances the whole meal. But if your ingredients are really bad, meaning your technique, you're not gonna get a great sound. Now, I could, if I wanted, I could add a compression either after the whole signal or before. So let's just try that for fun to see what it does. And since we're talking about rock and aggressive kind of playing, I would most likely pick an 1176 style compressor. So let's try putting it at the end. Sorry, wrong block. Second. So where are we? Compressor. Legendary 87 and mono. What's really interesting in the quad Cortex is that for some reason, the attack and release knobs on the 1176 are the other way around than on the original unit. I don't know why. So you have the release knob is at the slowest right now. On the real 1176, all the way to the right, is the fastest release now. So that kind of messes with my head always. So you have to do it like this. This is the fastest released. And the attack is also the other way around. This is the slowest on the far right, and this is the quickest attack, and on the 1176 is the other way around. So that always messes with my head. So I would go with a 4:1 ratio, slowest attack, quickest released. The makeup gain we adjust to taste. Let me check out my inputs and outputs. So without the compressor, I'm kind of like peaking at minus 12 dB. Now I'm gonna start. You can already see the compressor working there, but it's just the initial spike. So we go. Like this. This is more natural. So I'm gonna match the output now. A bit more. Okay, this is fairly close, I think. Yeah. So both are peaking at minus 12 now. Without. So with 1176, you can hear that it's really an aggressive, really in your face kind of tone. So what happens if we put it before everything? So because right now it's compressing everything at the end, so it's clamping down everything. But what happens if I put it in the beginning of the chain? So what I'm compressed, or what the compressor would be squashing, would go into the distortion and then into the amp and then into the cabinet. So with the compressor, everything is really brought up. Compared to when you don't have the compressor. That is without the compressor. So you can hear with the compressor, everything gets brought up louder and evens out, the sound across all strings. You can do that just, to make your playing more consistent. Not necessary. On the preset, I left it out because I left that to the recording engineer to do, because I want to record as clean a signal as I can, so that the person doing the mix can then apply compression to the sound. I don't know if he was compressing me on the way in on his end, I'm not sure, but on my preset I didn't put a compressor initially, so I would remove this for now. And if you want, you can add a compressor, of course, yourself. As I said, jazz bass, both pickups full on, tone control full on, Gallien Kruger amp, and an Ampeg SVT 8x10 cabinet. A little bit of distortion just to glue things and make the bass fill up a bit more space and to tame down loud spikes. And that's pretty much it. As you can see, there's no need to really put a lot of things to get a great bass tone. I hope you guys liked the video. Let me know what you think in the comments, and also don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with the content that's coming to the channel. As always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.